Joining us now here on In the Circle at D1 Softball, powered by 643. He's a first-time guest, but boy, we've been following him for a while there. Of course, he calls college basketball, of course, calls college softball, including this upcoming Shriners Classic, where he's got, I believe, 9 games with Madison Shipman, who's also a friend of the pod. I speak of Chuckie Kempf joining us here on In the Circle D1. Welcome, first time you coming on. We finally got to connect here because you've been very busy.
I know, and a long-time listener, first-time caller type deal here.
That's correct. That is fair, very good. Take me through this week for you because this is a hectic week. You've got up to 9 games you're calling. I believe 11 different teams of all of variety there. Take me through. I believe this is your first Clearwater Shriners, is it?
It is, and I am extremely excited, and also do I have enough time to get prepared? Like I've been prepping pretty hard for the last 7 to 10 days, and I still feel like, and I leave tomorrow, I still feel like I have a ton of work to do. So, yeah, it's certainly a unique prospect to prep for 11 teams.
And this goes with as well. I mean, for those that don't know, you call national college basketball games pretty frequently all over the country, weekends and during the week. So you're kind of starting up the softball, throwing it in there with the basketball season. How do you balance that out?
It's interesting. Like I almost kind of just I got lucky where I didn't have any games in like the 5 to 7 days leading up to this event, so I really kind of just turned my basketball off. And so when opening day came around last week, like I was all softball that whole weekend, just flipping back and forth, watching you guys at UCF, watching Arizona OU, and probably 20, 25 games that I watched this weekend. And I kind of just like ignored basketball a little bit. And I'm like, you know what? Let's get through softball. Let's kick off what should be a really good season, and then I'll retune into basketball in a week or so.
Mention your preparation. What goes through your preparation as you get ready? This is unique, because you're going to call the marquee games, marquee tournaments, 9 games, 11 teams. How do you go into preparation there? Do you focus on a specific team? How do you play it out? How do you plan it out?
Yeah, I bounce around a lot because my attention span is short. I think it's interesting. Like the more I've done it, the more I mean, you kind of get in a rhythm, but at the same time, and you probably know this too, like you just get down a rabbit hole, like, more than occasionally, where you're kind of like you want to know something about maybe a little something you read, and then you end up, an hour later, and you're like, oh my God, I haven't written anything down, and you've done some great research and you found something super interesting, but it's just a ton of bouncing around. I'm finally now, and I know this is coming out on Thursday, but as we record this, I'm finally like kind of putting the finishing touches on some of these teams, and that's when it always starts to feel real and starts to feel like, okay, it's just about game time.
Well, one of the highlights of the games you'll get to call is you'll get to see Nebraska here a couple times, call them a couple times, and Jordy Fromm, as she refers to now, after being obviously formerly Jordy Ball. And you get a Texas Tech game on Saturday against JMU. You get to see Nyjah Kennedy potentially there, and the Red Raiders, which has been a big story in the offseason in college softball. Give me your thoughts there, seeing 2 of the top players in the country. Carlin Pickens is also in this tournament. Those 3 have kind of been linked here as the 3 marquee seniors, which Amanda Scarborough, obviously your colleague, has called maybe the best senior class in the history of the sport that she's covered.
It is unbelievable. It really is like hard to quantify how good these seniors are, and for those 3 in particular, like I can't remember one like this, at least. And I mean, I remember a long way back with softball. Like I've been watching this since I was a little kid. So yeah, it's to see Jordy, and really watching her this weekend. I thought like she looks dialed in. They got tested. They had Texas this weekend. They had Washington. Actually lost a game to Washington, but she looks dialed in. They're going to be, obviously, their target is Oklahoma City, just like a lot of these teams are. And with this senior class being so good, I mean, just think about how many teams are thinking like, this is our chance. This could be our year. And then Texas Tech, it's kind of hilarious, their lineup. And, hearing from Jerry Glasgow, like it's tough to pick a lineup right now for them because there's so many talented players. These are conference player of the years, all Americans. Like it's just laughable what they have at their disposal with Nyjah, and now Caitlin Terry's there. So like everything they wanted and needed, they got 10 times that. If they needed to add a run or two for Nyjah and support, like they didn't score a ton at the World Series last year. I don't think they topped 4 runs and they scored 4 runs twice against Texas, and obviously it wasn't enough. So, if you were looking for a little offense, you got 5 new bats in the order that are all-American caliber players. If you were looking for the arm behind Nyjah, you went and got Caitlin Terry. Like that's a pretty darn good one. So I just it's weird to think that Texas got everything back that they got, and I just don't see how Texas Tech isn't the favorite.
Yeah, they're number one ranked team in the country going into this weekend. You've got UCLA on Friday a couple times against Oklahoma State and Missouri. You got UCF on Saturday a couple times. They're going to go against LSU and Nebraska. We're going to learn a lot about them, but they've coming off scoring 61 runs in their first 6 games over the season. You got some offensive firepower here in your lineup here.
It's crazy. It's funny when I that UCF game made me think of it. I was texting with Madison Shipman. We were watching and just trying to find games on opening day, and you guys had UCF playing Boston U. I'm like, oh, it's a good test. Boston's been so good recently, and Ava Stewie, the freshman, gets the start. But Madison Shipman texts me, and she's talking about Izzy Mertez, and she's like, oh, she's got such a great opposite field swing. And then 2 minutes later, she hits one off the wall in right center field. I'm like, okay, so you did your homework, I guess. But, I mean, the offense is crazy. Like UCLA, what 23? Yeah,
Home
23
runs.
home runs in 5 games. I mean, that duo is unbelievable. My big question for them, I think everyone's question for them is who's the number 2 arm behind Taylor Tinsley, and they've got a freshman Natalie Cable that maybe like that might be who they're going to look to, and she had a good opening weekend. So that's the big question for them. I think I mean, I got to think that's going to be a top 5 offense in the country this year.
Yeah, yeah. Megan Grant, who I spoke to, loves this team, likes the new faces, this freshman class a lot. So I think they've got a bit of a chip on the shoulder because they kind of got a little bit under the radar there a little bit. But they certainly, I agree with you on that. And LSU's got a firepower offense themselves. You'll get to see them on Saturday there. You mentioned Madison Shipman. You'll be working every game with her. I feel like you've worked with everybody at ESPN. I don't know if that's accurate, but it feels that way. You've worked with Scarborough. You work with Scarborough a lot during the summer and the fall with the AUSL and the AU season, which we'll talk about a little bit as well. What's that like for you? Because you're working with different partners, not just in softball, but basketball as well. How do you adapt to their styles? Because everybody has their own style.
Yeah, it's I always tell like when I work with people the first time, I just always say like let me be uncomfortable. Like let me whatever you want, whatever I can do to make you comfortable is what I want to do. And really like there's nothing special you got to do with them. They're just like when you talk about Madison specifically and Amanda and Danielle and like all of them, great human beings. Now I can call them great friends, but like they make it so easy. They know the game so well. And then like I want to have fun, like I want to mess with you, and they will give that right back. So it makes it even more fun. But I honestly like I have not had a bad experience working with anyone. Sometimes it takes a minute. Like I remember one of my and he's not with ESPN anymore, but one of the first times I worked with Robbie Hummel, who I think is one of the best in the
Yeah.
game. I like we got done with the game and I was like, man, I was kind of off. Like I felt bad about it. And then, we went out and had dinner, worked together a few more times that year and a couple more in the next couple of years before he left. And then I was like, oh, we're great. Like he was excellent. I just took me a minute to get going. So occasionally like that'll happen, but I've been really fortunate with everybody that they've made it really easy on me.
Well, what stood out to me was last year you called the regional in Tucson with Kenzie
Yep.
Fowler. And I don't remember if you probably had worked with her before, probably at AU. I don't know if you've crossed paths, or I don't know if that was the first time you've worked together, but y'all clicked right from the get-go. You were fantastic. In fact, I think you got nominated for the Golden Mike, not just for that regional and the work you did with her as a pair, but as your whole season as a whole calling softball there. But you clicked right away in that regional. Do you remember that clicking with somebody like a Kenzie Fowler? Do you know that moment where you're clicking with an analyst?
Yeah, I think so. Like when I got there, so we'd worked together one time.
Okay.
And when I got to Tucson, like I'm excited to see her, but we don't know each other great. And so get to the booth, we're watching Arizona practice, and like I I just love grilling people like on the game. Like it's not one, I think it creates that relationship
Sure.
quickly. Like I'll get vulnerable, I'll be super honest with people and open up and I'll ask a million questions. I probably drive people crazy, but like I just want to learn from them. And I also want them to see that like, this is I'm here to lift you up. Like I always think like I'm the quarterback, but you're the star. Like you're the star receiver, running back that I need to get the ball to. So any way I can like knock down that wall and get us into a comfort zone together. And it just helps. Like Kinsey, again, another one, a friend of mine who I was texting this weekend when she was calling the OU Arizona game. So it's just, I had a blast on that region. I mean, we had a blast, and it was obviously the competition, Ole Miss and Arizona and Grand Canyon. There was it was a lot of fun. But yeah, that was one of my favorite events I think I've ever done.
Ooh, that's pretty high praise there. You've been around softball a lot. People know who your aunt is, of course, with Cheri Kempf, who's a longtime analyst. I wonder the influence she had on you as far as softball, just following softball, being a fan of softball, but also from a broadcasting standpoint, because she had a long career as a color commentator for softball. So I'm assuming there was times where you probably were around her and probably around the broadcast.
Yeah, yeah, both my love of the game and of it was really just like understanding this was an option. Like, oh, I guess I could do that because I'm watching my family member do it. So I went with her more than a couple times, but we went to I think Stanford. I went to with her once, and then maybe I think Stanford playing Oregon was one of them I can remember really well because I remember Mike White was at Oregon at the time. And so I would sit in the truck and watch the game from there. And I think she was working with Pam Ward at the time. And so just stuff like that where it was like it just felt huge at the time. But it was also when I got close to college and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I was like, well, maybe. Like, I don't know. It's just it's hard to see it. It really is. Even then, it's hard to see like that you could be doing this one day and going to Clearwater in a couple days. But yeah, it's and then being so close with her and how close she was to the game, obviously it just really piqued my interest. Like this, I think the popularity has exploded recently, but some of my memories growing up are of watching the Women's College World Series, of hearing Beth Moen's voice. Like I have random memories of, Taryn Mowat, Danielle Laurie, Megan Betza at Michigan in the Women's College World Series that come to mind when people are like, what are some of your favorite sports memories? I'm like, well, not the ones you think.
Well, and it sounds to me like you probably have a historical perspective because I mean, this is my 20th season I've been calling softball. So I remember that at the Moat Abbott year in '07 was kind of my first time kind of being exposed to the World Series in the postseason there. Do you feel in a way that's helped you from a broadcast, from a historical standpoint, since you've kind of been around it through Cheri and her experiences broadcasting?
Yeah, definitely. I think it just like my interest will get piqued on things that I think is unique because I don't need to dig to see it. Like if I hear a name or if I see a year or if I'm looking at history of a program and it's they went to Supers or they went to the World Series this year. I'm like, oh wait, who was on that? That was this team, right? Like that was I just was prepping for Georgia and I'm thinking of the '09 2010 back to back with Schlopey and Wiggins and Sandberg and like all of that's just kind of there. And a lot of it comes like my so many of my reps in this industry came from the NPF
Yes.
back when I was in college, like doing a one camera stream sitting in the stands in Akron. And so all of those players, like that's where a lot of that comes from. And then obviously paying attention to over the years. But yeah, I absolutely like there is such a rich history in the game, especially at the college level. I'm glad we're getting that now in the pro level. I think it's going to keep going in the right direction. But yeah, it's that's one of my favorite things is kind of diving back into it for some of the players too that didn't necessarily get
Yeah.
the attention that we see now.
You just gave me a flashback to the NPF days. I did a lot of NPF games with the cameras there
Yeah.
because a person I'm sure you know very well, Bernie Gunther, gave me an
Yep.
opportunity to call some of the pro games there, which was kind of fun watching Monica there, and then of course the Bandits, and then of course Triple A and Akron you mentioned. I mean
Yep.
that was kind of the glory days, and I remember that's where I first started seeing your work because then you eventually get to ESPN, but I feel like in a lot of ways you've been associated with the pro game in softball through the MPF and now Athletes Unlimited. What's it been like seeing all the changes in the pro game and now with this AUSL season 2, they got cities, MLB's involved, and the coverage has exploded.
Yeah, I've never felt. I mean, I've always been confident about the program. I'm like, it's just too good of a sport. These athletes are too good. But I mean, like last year was unbelievable. I could not. Everywhere we went, the crowd, like you can't make it up. Like the sellout crowds everywhere we went, and even when it wasn't a sellout, it was still a really good crowd. And I'm really excited about the cities and the sites. I think everything they've done is so calculated. I think Kim Ing is like the truth. She's so good. She the connection obviously to the MLB. I don't think that happens without Kim. I think it's like the what she talks about with the MLB. She's like, I just haven't seen them excited about something like this, and so it kind of gives me chills when I think about it in that light. But the the hearing from the players too that like it's just so professional, which sounds weird, but like they get treated so well. I'm excited to see how the cities work out and like kind of how that works with them living in different areas and kind of having a home base. But everything we've seen from these announcements has been positive. So yeah, it's great.
What's it like? Do you get caught aware like, man, I'm documenting history here. Like this is stuff that people look back 5, 10, 20 years from now as hopefully, the goal is the league grows and becomes big as a pro softball league and you're part of they'll hear your voice.
Yeah, we that was a conversation. I think within the hour leading up to the opening day in Rosemont last year when Amanda was with me, and I think we both were kind of saying like, man, how many people get to do this? Like this is think back to like the first ever MLB game or the first ever like you hope that that's what this can turn into. And yeah, it's we I think somebody made the joke like, well, you're a trivia answer now, like who was the broadcast. So it's yeah, definitely. I mean, it's yeah, it's surreal at times for sure.
Is the preparation similar preparing for a college game than a pro game, or are there some subtle differences?
It's different. Like it's and as you know, like if you covering UCF, like you just have to dig a little deeper sometimes. That's probably something I need to get better at as the years go on because you get so familiar with the players. Like
Yeah,
I mean, I don't have to look at a sheet
yeah,
calling the
yeah.
AUSL. So like you need to get back to like this year I think we tried to talk, get in there earlier and talk to players more. Amanda's always great about that, but I tried to be a little better about getting more in-depth stories. What are these players doing outside of this? What are they doing in the off season? And yeah, I think it is different. You just don't, the college game, you're kind of in and out. You get Georgia for a weekend, and then you have Oklahoma State the next weekend, and so it's a little quicker, and you almost don't have the chance to get too deep. You're kind of getting the top level stories, but yeah, I think it's just like I've always said like I can't imagine doing the MLB, like 150 plus games.
Yeah.
Like I mean, my voice would give out. That's the first problem with it, but just to continue to find those things to bring in.
Do you take notes with especially the seniors thinking, hey, they could be drafted come the college draft. I might call their games here, not only right during the college season, but I'm going to call them probably here at the next level at the AUSL and then the AU season. Do you take notes of that or do you wait till after the season to do all that?
I think we'll talk. I mean, as far as like prepping, do you mean?
Yeah, yeah,
I
just
mean, I
taking
look
notes. Yeah.
Yeah, I look back at stuff for sure. Like I'll look back at my college notes when we get to the AUSL this year and some of these kids are drafted. I'll pull from some college notes and trends that I had from them. But I mean, I think just like as a fan this year, like everything this weekend, I'm gonna be like, oh, she like Woolery and Grant
Right.
and Pickens who signed the NIL deal with them. Like they're gonna be in the league in a few months, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be a quick turnaround for you. Was broadcasting always something you wanted to do, or it just evolved that way?
I don't know. Like I didn't have like a dream when I was a kid to do it, but again, like I think it goes back to it wasn't a thought. Like I would have never thought it was possible. Like I went to bed every night watching Sports Center with John Butchergross and Stuart Scott. Like and I loved it. I ate it up every second of it, but I never would have like thought, "Oh, I can do that one day." So no, I would say no. Now, and even when Cheri was doing it, when I was growing up, it was never I never thought that until I was started to go with her a little
Okay.
bit and like talk to Pam Ward and Eric Collins and some of these people, and I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe.
Did you have a play-by-play person you kind of looked at as you once you decided, hey, play-by-play something I might want to do? Maybe that's somebody that I'm kind of listen very closely to and take some notes.
Yeah, I mean, like early on, probably. I mean, all the big ones always like Jim Nance and Al Michaels
Yeah.
have always been just because I that's like the voices in my head when I think of it. And then as I got a little closer to that eight, like to being in it, like Eric Collins, I mean, his style is so unique, but like him as like a sounding board, and he's been a good mentor kind of for me. And then as far as like people I've watched and said like, wow, that's they're really good, and I appreciate like Adam Amin, Joe Davis, Jason Benetti, like a few that really Kevin Brown,
Yeah.
Dave Pash, like a lot of and really there's more, but just some of the people that like when I hear them, like I'm locked in because I just think they're so good.
You went to Northwest Missouri State.
Yep.
Describe that experience going there and how that maybe helped you get where you're at today.
Small school, but I was really lucky because it was a football powerhouse. And then when I got there, it became or not now, but 5 years ago, it was really a basketball powerhouse because Ben McCollum, who is now at Iowa, was the head basketball coach there. So I kind of
Oh,
got all these stories that I hear now on TV when they're in the NCAA. I'm like, I know all these guys, like all these point guards they talk about. I'm like, these are I got my reps calling. So I got really lucky at that. We had a student radio station and not a ton of people that were in it. I mean, it wasn't small, but like there was a lot of games. Like there's, twice a week you got double headers for basketball. And so a lot of people like that's a big commitment. So I got to do a ton of basketball, a ton of softball and baseball. And then there was outside of that, just because it's a smaller community, not a small town. Maryville was where I was, but my hometown in St. Joseph, Missouri, had a radio station, and the guy there, who's now the voice of James Madison, Dave Riggert, who I was just texting because I have them, he gave me a ton of high school games in the area. So I kind of got the real world because it's different. You know how student radio is. Like
yes,
you're doing it, but there's some things that aren't quite as lined up as it is for
correct.
real. So he let me do a lot of the real world stuff, I would say, and that's it was a good experience though. And then that small community kind of gave me a chance to get the reps I got.
It's kind of a small world. You just mentioned Dave Rigger. You mentioned he's at JMU, and you go way back with him. That's kind of wild. It's funny how the industry works, where it kind of all goes full circle.
Yeah. Yeah, and he is still, I mean, I would say like he really gave me my start. Like he showed me what prep was. He gave me a ton of reps and opportunities, and I would not be here without him, that's for sure.
Do you remember your first assignment at ESPN?
At ESPN, it was Nebraska Boston College, November 29th of 2017, I believe. At
Ooh,
Nebraska. Nebraska won. I was shaking my hand. I looked down at my hands before the tip, and I'm like, you kind of get anxious, but I'm never like a nervous. I was like, this is it. It's my chance. And it was a blast.
who were you working with in that game? Do you remember?
Malcolm Huckabee, and I've never worked with him since. I see him all the time. We always joke about it. I've never worked with him since then. He probably was like, man, I'm done. I can't do it with this kid.
That's too funny. But that's the thing. You got to ESPN and you really got heavy dosage of basketball a lot before even softball, ironically. Because I
Yeah.
remember I was seeing basketball. I'm like, man, I wonder is they going to let him do softball? I don't know what was going on. But what was that like to get to do basketball in some of the marquee conferences? You've done Big 12 basketball. You've done like all the major conferences in a lot of ways, as well as some of the top mid-major teams. What was that like once you got that call and now you're like, hey, I'm in the big leagues here and I'm calling basketball?
That was surreal because that was really like right out of the gates. I did like a couple random ones in non-conference, and then boom, I was at Iowa State, and Baylor was there, and I was like, or K-State was there when they had that really good trio, and I'm like, what is happening right now? Like I was doing a 1A boys basketball game 3 months ago, so it was surreal. Like there are some great memories from those, and hopefully many more to come. But yeah, that was as a 23-year-old kid, I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
20, yeah, Malcolm Huckabee. That's hilarious. You two have not worked the game. You
Yep.
both are still. Yeah, that's wild. Okay.
Yep.
Uh, how many regionals have you called?
Three. I did my first year was at Georgia. They beat Emma Lemley and Virginia Tech. My second year was um, Missouri and Omaha almost upset
Right.
them.
That was
And
with
then
Monica
Missouri
Abbott, right?
actually
You worked with
almost went
Monica.
and beat Duke. And
Yep.
then last year at Arizona. Yep.
You worked with Monica Abbott in that one in Missouri.
Yes. Yep.
So that was pretty cool. What do you remember when you got the call that hey, we like you to call regional in softball? Which what was your going through your mind?
Like really, I mean, so softball, this is my fourth year. Yeah, I've done three. So this is my fourth year on softball. So I had 4 or 5 years at ESPN without softball, but I want like that was always
Right.
like more than football even, which I did this year. Like I always had my eye on softball because it meant so much to me. So when when I got it that first year, it was big, and then the regional, like I tell people all the time, regionals it's hard. Like that 3 game Saturday is hard. It's top three like events I get to cover a year. It's a blast.
What was it like working with Monica, who at the time was a rookie as an analyst? Was first regional. She's trying to figure it out on the fly. Did you? And then this is somebody you've covered and called
I
probably, right? Like it's got to be
Yeah,
it's real,
I've never been so nervous because I was like, this is Monica Abbott.
right?
This is like one of the greatest to ever do it. And I'd never talked to her either. I had never, I mean, one, because I was just intimidated. I'm like, I can't go talk to Monica, but she was awesome. We had dinner the night before and kind of just to meet each other because it's like, hey, we're about to do 6 or 7 games together. And it ended up being 7 and it was epic. But she was awesome. Like we got to know each other quickly and she picked it up really quickly too. So it was a blast. But I was definitely starstruck the entire weekend.
Reminds me, yeah, when I interviewed Kat Osterman, and then would be like, oh wow, yeah, and then it's like, can't believe you, yeah, we're great, we're talking, that's awesome,
Yeah.
there. But that had to give you a lot of confidence that they trusted you with her, with a rookie. That's usually the ultimate, sign that they trust you there when they hand you, hey, can you handle this rookie, even if, in a big name like Monica Abbott.
Yeah, it's they've been really good to me and the game like again like big games that I've been able to call and there's so many like it's somewhat easy to get a big game in softball because these teams are like if you're in the SEC you're gonna be doing top 20 games. It just is what it is. But yeah, it definitely is. Like they've been so good to me in softball since I got in it and just like this event like just being able to call like it to me like what it means is it's hard to put into words, I would say. To like be there, we've been on calls all week, and to see Beth Mowens, Michelle Smith, Jess Mendoza, Holly Rowe, and then all the ones I've been able to work with, Amanda, Danielle, Madison, Jenny Dalton Hill, like all these people that I've been watching for so many years call these games, and now like I'm sitting there with them, and I'm like, okay, like don't forget how special this is.
You mentioned you got to call football
Yep.
now as well. Added that to the portfolio. What was that experience like now calling football?
Eye opener. Like I'd done it before a little bit, not Division 1, but like kind of just getting reps on I'd had a D2 package 4 or 5 years ago that I did, but this was 15 weeks of Division 1 football, and it's a lot. I mean, it is a different monster as far as prep goes, and so to get into a routine, I think that was the biggest challenge. Like just I mean, you know how it is. It's a lot. So like just to get used to that, it probably took me. I mean, it took me 4 or 5 weeks to get to a point where I'm like, okay, like I have a feel for it
Yeah,
now. Prepping and then also in the game, everything started to feel more comfortable. And you've got so much like there's just a lot going on in football. One, there's more promos, there's more this, there's a lot of timeouts, and you got a stat guy next to you, you got a spotter with you, you got your partner. Like there's just it is a lot, but
well,
I had a
and the
lot of
roster
fun.
is insane because it's a ton of players. Some of them wear the double numbers, which is just brutal. I mean, there's a lot that people don't realize about football, what goes into it, especially in the college game.
Scariest week of the year for me is week 1.
Yeah,
Like here's the two deep. Now, who's gonna be on the field? Good luck to you. So
figure it out. Yeah, and then trying to come up with good material in a game
yeah,
that might be a little one sided
exactly.
on that deal. Is there a sport? Or do you set yourself with goals that you want to do in your broadcasting career? Or is there a sport maybe you haven't called yet? Do you would like that opportunity if it presented itself? Or just specific goals about the sports you are calling?
I mean I don't know. I literally was just talking to my wife about this and like I don't I just want to do it. Like I love it so much that I just want longevity. And like, of course, I want to call big games. I'd love to do a super. I'd love to be on super regionals. That would probably be the next one in softball that I'd like. Um, like randomly, I'm a big soccer fan. Like I love watching the Premier League. Kind of picked a team like 10 years ago, and now I'm obsessed with it. So if there was one sport that I wouldn't mind giving it a try, it'd probably be soccer.
Ooh. I've just called soccer for the last handful of years. That's a tough sport
Yeah.
because, as you know, I'm a soccer fan as well, but from a play-by-play, it's a very tricky sport because there's going to be matches where nothing's going on.
Yep.
And you're like trying to figure out, so what are we gonna do here? Like,
Yeah.
pass it on, right? But then then you got the soccer purist that they're gonna nitpick every word. It's not the easiest of sport. It's gonna take you a minute to kind of digest. It's fun, especially when you get a great soccer match. But because there's so many different styles,
Yeah.
it definitely pushes you.
It's interesting too, like, because the stuff I've watched is European.
Yeah.
So the announcers are typically British or Irish or whatever they might be. And so it's like a very elegant call. Like the terminology is different and they use big words. It's way different. And so like it's different when you listen to an American soccer announcer versus a
Yes.
British or
Yes.
Spanish or whatever. It's just a much different call.
Couple last things. You got a lot of sporty broadcasts to go. But at this point, up until this point, if I asked you, what are 2 or 3 of your favorite games you've called? Either because the game was that great or you just felt like, man, that I really knocked it out, or me and my broadcast partner knocked it out. What would you pick from your career to this point?
I would probably say I'll always remember opening day last year for the AUSL, like just how big it was. We had Joe Torre on. I mean, it was just like this huge deal. There's been a couple at Iowa State. Kansas State went into Iowa State. Barry Brown hit a game winner at the buzzer to beat them. There was another one at Iowa State, and it wasn't necessarily a buzzer beater or anything. I just remember my reel for years had like 3 calls from this game on it, and it was Lindell Wigginton, who played at Iowa State and hit a couple big shots. And like, when I was younger and I was I'm like, I love this call. Like, I just thought I nailed it. I don't know what I would think of it now. I haven't heard it in years, but I always sound better at Hilton because the crowd's behind you. So
Yeah.
music and a big crowd is great for my not so broadcast friendly voice at times. But those are a couple. It's such a tough question. It's so funny. Like I always think about that too. I'm like, I feel like I have a pretty good memory, but I'm not great with that question. Those are a few though.
It's I get it because I get asked that and people are like, man, that was a great call. And it's almost like a blur. You're like, what did I say? Right. Like you're almost like worried when somebody comes up to you asking you about a broadcast. They're like, wait, did I mess up something? But like, you're right. It's a blur, but it's a compliment there. I do. Hilton Magic is always, I've heard great things about that in college basketball. It's one of the great venues to call a game. I've been told by a lot of people there. Last thing, you're working with Madison Shipman. I had her last year. She was involved in that Florida-Arkansas game that had a half-hour delay, and she got to bring out her rule book for it. Do you have a rule book with you, or are you going to lean on Madison for that this week?
So I believe that I am going to be given one this week because I requested one, but
Nice.
I don't think that it came in the package I got. So I think I'm going to have one this week. Here's my question for you.
Sure.
Have you seen any obstruction calls yet? Because
Not
I
yet.
have one that I have a big gripe about, but I didn't know if you'd seen any yet and what you thought.
I hadn't seen it yet. I didn't get one in Orlando. 13 games I called in Orlando there, but
Okay.
obstruction's always very, shall we say, subjective and interesting. How it's certain umpires interpret the call.
Yeah, it's there was one at Texas A&M this week, so you'll have to go find it. It's bottom of the third, and it was on the field. It was called an out. They reviewed it and they called it obstruction. I believe they called it in my mind. I think that it was obstruction last year because she had started her slide. Maybe it was just one of those things where it's like occasionally with any rule, like I wish that like just common sense comes into play. Like she's out by 5 steps, so she's out. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
Let's not take away a good play because of a technicality. Agreed. And I'm not certain that it was the right call anyway. But
especially
anyway.
Since they've adapted, they've supposedly modified it. Should be more easier, but I also will defend the umpires. There's so many rules, and sometimes it gets modified a lot. It's a lot to keep track of. I will say this: the double base So far, so good. I kind of
Yeah.
liked it. I was worried that would that complicate things for the umpires. It seemed to be going smooth, and I do like the fact that coaches get to win their challenge back if they win the challenge. So I do like a couple of those. I don't know if you've seen that in store, but you will at some point this season, I'm sure.
Yeah, I agree. I like that. I like the double base. I agree with you too. Like it's so hard, and especially with obstruction because it's got. I feel like every time we have a rule change year, that one gets changed. So it's
Yes,
the
yes,
simplified explanation I've heard of it this year is it is either tag or contact. Like you
yes,
can basically obstruct it as long as you tag them first.
yes.
So,
I've learned to just turn to Alex Powers like, what do you think?
what do you think, Alex?
Because I don't know
Like,
anymore.
oh, God.
Yeah, right. It's usually how that works, but that's life in softball. Hopefully, you don't get any of those this week.
That's right.
That's Chuckie Kempf. Check him out all week on the ESPN family of networks. Be calling 9 games with Madison Shipman, Oklahoma State versus Georgia, Nebraska versus Georgia on Thursday as this is coming out. UCLA, Oklahoma State on Friday, UCLA, Missouri on Friday, UCF, LSU, UCF, Nebraska on Saturday, JMU, Texas Tech also on Saturday. 3 games, triple header there. And then Sunday, JMU and Texas A&M, and then FAU and JMU. And then he'll be calling basketball and softball back and forth as he tries to fit it in between now and the rest of the college season. And then we'll see him at Athletes AUSL Season 2 for that historic year. Hey, listen, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're trying to preserve your voice because you got a lot of games. But like I said, we've wanted to have you on for a while. We're trying to fit it in, and I was glad to fit this in. Thanks for doing and telling your story. We're big fans of yours, and hopefully I'll run into you in Clearwater or at some point during the season.
Hey, man, keep up the good work. Love the podcast. Anytime you need me, I'm here to talk softball. I appreciate you.